Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham is one of India's premier top-ranked universities which focuses on transforming lives through learning, research and innovation. The university was established 19 years ago in the year 2003 and has made significant achievements in a short time. Education for life, education for living. Amrita University is guided by the thoughtfulness of our Chancellor, Amma, who laid down the philosophy of education for life by placing equal stress on education for a living. It is this vision that led to the establishment of a vast network of educational institutions that provide modern education while imparting the traditional values. While the pursuit of academic excellence forms the core of Amrita's success, it also undertakes the responsibility to shape the whole character of youngsters with love, care, and compassion. The university is headquartered at the foothills of the Western Ghats in Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu, and has 5 other campuses spread across South India in Amritapuri, Kerala, Kochi, Kerala, Bengaluru, Karnataka, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and Mysore, Karnataka. The university will soon launch its new campuses in Amravati, Andhra Pradesh, Faridabad, Delhi, NCR. Our inspiration, a renowned humanitarian leader and spiritual leader, Amba is the Chancellor and guiding light of Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham. Amma's concept of education, stress on research, and commitment to instilling universal values have come together to shape Amrita into an institution with the latest achievements and discoveries combined with compassion and service-mindedness. As Amma said in 2010, when the State University of New York presented her with an honorary doctorate in humane letters. Rankings. The multi-campus, multidisciplinary research establishment is ranked as 5th best university in India 2021 by National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF. We have also been accorded the status of Institute of Eminence, IOE, by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. A testament to our pursuit of excellence is the NAC A++ accreditation score, the highest possible. NAC accreditation measures universities for excellence in curricular aspects, teaching, learning and evaluation, research, innovations and extension, infrastructure and learning resources, student support and progression, governance, leadership and management, institutional values and best practices, global impact and international collaborations. Among the private educational institutions in the country, Amrita has entered into MOUs and collaborations with more than 450 leading universities around the globe. Students also benefit from our relations with industries and interactions with top management of multinational companies. These collaborations facilitate student exchange programs, student visits, industrial training, and project guidance under reputed corporate entities. Placements. Placements at Amrita have always been best in class, with students usually having more than 1 job offer. Some students have up to 3 job offers by the end of their course from reputed MNCs, be it engineering, management, life sciences, arts or sciences. Amrita is a place where the world's best companies look for talent. More than 200 companies visit the campus every year, and the average salary offered to our students is 5.8 lakh per annum. Meanwhile, the highest package offered is 56.95 lakh per annum, and the highest stipend for internship is rupees 80,000 per month. Amrita's Technology Business Incubator, TBI, is a non-profit supported by the Government of India that funds, mentors, and nurtures ideas by startups and entrepreneurs. It focuses on developing innovations in the areas of information technology, cybersecurity, networking, social media, and more. The TBI startups have obtained multiple awards and recognition, both from India and across the globe. Till date, TBI has incubated more than 75 startups and mentored 216 startup ideas with 0% loss from investments. It funds up to 1 crore rupees per startup and has opened up many more funding options through its partnership with venture capital firms and angel investor networks. Amrita TBI is one of the only 6 incubators selected to be world-class under Niti Aayog's Atal Innovation Mission. Campus life. A home away from home. At Amrita, we believe in a holistic approach towards our students' development. To augment students' classroom learning, all campuses provide students with digital and central libraries, quiet study centers, seminar halls, e-learning studios, computer labs, and campus-wide free Wi-Fi. The university encourages both indoor and outdoor sports and games, and there are world-class swimming pools, gymnasiums, stadiums, and games arenas. Various clubs cater to the artistic and scientific minds of the students. If you look around all of Amrita's campuses, you will see the prevailing educational environment is in communion with nature. The sand, the seas, and the sky define the backdrop of these temples of learning. It vibrates with an energy of togetherness and encourages us to live in harmony with everything around us, including a unity within ourselves. This setting is suited to instill both learners and the learned with the courage and wisdom to face the challenges of life. The campus at Etimane is considered India's most picturesque. It is like an oasis in a desert. What started out as a barren landscape underwent a miraculous transformation through the university's tree planting project. Today, there are more than 1 lakh trees growing there, the most extensive collection in number and species on a university campus in South India. The Live-in Labs program originated from Amma's idea to bridge the rural and urban divide by sending university students to remote villages in India to understand the everyday difficulties faced by people living there. The program is designed to be a multidisciplinary real-life learning experience offered to both international participants and Amrita University's faculty and students. The lab's objective is to expose youths to day-to-day problems faced in rural communities with a 2-week to 6-month periods of live-in internships in Indian villages. It also aims to inspire them to dedicate the knowledge and skills they acquired at university to help develop practical, cost-effective solutions to the challenges faced by the villages. Researchers at Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham partner with senior scientists at world's leading research universities to innovate new ideas and invent new products, applying existing technology towards solving some of the world's most pressing problems, from disaster management to assuring access to education and the management and cure of diseases. This effort reflects in Amrita's national and international research rankings. India's first UNESCO Chair on Women's Empowerment and Gender Equality. Empowerment through Innovation and Technology. The Center for Women Empowerment and Gender Equality is a research-focused academic center for promoting gender equality and fostering women's empowerment with a special focus on using technology and other innovative methods. This center will offer diverse courses in key focus areas, pilot radical ideas, and collaborate with leading universities and institutions. The Amala Bharadam campaign, ABC, Clean India campaign was a program pioneered by Amrita, aimed at improving public health and restoring India's physical beauty. The project was launched in 2010 during Amma's 57th birthday celebrations, and through this campaign, volunteers undertake periodic cleaning of roads, markets, temples, government offices, and hospitals. As a part of this campaign, garbage was sorted and either recycled or properly disposed of. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, along with Kerala's Prisons and Correctional Services and Tamil Nadu Prison Department, initiated Amrita Yoga classes and IIM Technique meditation sessions in 2018 to address and transform the physical, mental, and emotional health of prison inmates. Our goal is to teach yoga and meditation techniques to help the prison inmates become more self-aware. They learn to breathe with awareness and manage emotions through these exercises. Ours is a changing world. It needs people who can adapt to change, with minds that can expand and include change, and yet hold human-friendly values that can withstand all changes. Which is why the world needs education that shapes the minds of these people, and which is why the world needs Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Education for life, education for living. A university where future is driven by imagination. Experiential learning creates diverse opportunities, where industry exposure and international partnerships help you sail. Come, start your journey towards success with Amrita University.
There's a place where the best minds come together, work to end inequalities, work towards transforming lives. This is a place recognized as one of the world's best universities. This is Amrita, now ranked among the top 100 universities in the world and ranked #1 in India. Amrita University.
There's a reason why we pick up the highest grades nationally and internationally, year after year after year. That reason is you. Now, with an A++ accreditation from NAC and consistent rankings among the top universities in NIRF, Amrita, we get recognized because you must.
Good evening, all. Welcome to another episode of Amrita Cafe. In this discussion of Amrita Cafe, we will learn about emotional mental stress and how to meet behavior changes. We are having Ms. Kalpana Singh, who is the founder principal of Gurukul Academy, Lucknow, who will put some light on this topic. And this session will highlight what is emotional and mental stress and is depression same as a mental disorder. So welcome, ma'am, to today's episode. Ma'am, you are on mute, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Parvati, and I'm really honored to be part of this episode where I've been invited, and realizing more so that this is a very important issue and a matter which concerns, I think, all educationists. I really felt that there was a need to talk about emotional and mental health, which has become so important these days. So, we, I think, as teachers and as educationists, being in this profession, we come across students, we come across a lot of other people, even parents who are associated with us. And we do realize that this has become a burning issue these days, where a lot of people, because of the fast moving life and a lot of expectations and targets to meet, they are facing issues of mental health, of mental stress, which is affecting their complete life, and not only their life, probably all those who are associated with them. So I think this was a very important topic which has been chosen by you all, and I really feel happy to be a part of it. I would like to thank uh, Amrita Vishwavidyalaya team and team from EduDevs who have made it possible and who have come across with shows like this where a lot of important issues can be discussed. So thank you so much for having me over.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, my first question is, what is this emotional and mental stress?
Well, as I talked about it just now, when we talk about mental emotional stress, well, we would say, let's talk about mental health first. I think since childhood, we have heard a lot of people. I would talk about my childhood. You were still very young. So we have heard about, people saying that a healthy mind and a healthy body. And we did not really then probably understand the worth of it or the value of it. But as we grew up and we came across and we started seeing the ups and downs of life, and then we realized what is mental health. A lot of it earlier and even now, people talk about physical health. We've just gone through a very bad period of COVID in last 2 years, and there was a lot of discussion about physical health. But we would say that at least we in our country, we are not maybe paying so much attention to mental health, which becomes even more important or equally important. We have been saying about a healthy mind and a healthy body, but what exactly is it? How do we train our mind and how do we make it healthy? What is it that we do to ensure that our mind is able to handle a lot of stress in life, and how do we train that mind right from early childhood? So when we talk about mental health, it is training our mind right from the beginning, which as parents and teachers, we have to work towards making the children understand that there'll be a lot of situations in life, situations of crisis in life, where the people will have to rise to the occasion, and where they will have to understand that all the times in the life is not going to be the same. There won't be a rosy picture all around. And how do we stand up and how do we show a reaction which is not only fruitful to us but even for people around? When we go down to any of those cases where we've had certain epidemics, where we've just gone through, in fact, as I said, a period of 2 years of real crisis, or any such crisis, even when we are gathered, let's say, in a place which is overcrowded, and suddenly there is maybe rumor about maybe a bomb or maybe some kind of these kind of rumors which may lead to panic. So there are some people who will start crying, there'll be some people who will run, and you must have read so many times that in these kind of crowded places, it is more of stampede, which probably leads to a lot of deaths, which could have been avoided had people been a little calm and composed and reacted with a little bit of thought. And sometimes it is only just rumor, which may not even be real, but the action has taken place. So it is just like controlling a mind, where we first try to foresee the picture first. I mean, of course, I don't say that always there's a lot of time where one can think and react. But yes, even that quick decisiveness, that is something that we need to train our mind to. And the way we cautiously work towards a healthy body, the same way we have to cautiously work towards a healthy mind, where we train the mind in such a way that in times of crisis, in times of panic, people may not suddenly react and may not suddenly panic, and may be able to give a very matured kind of a dealing. Like you will find that, and when you start looking at it, when you see that there are people, the situation may be the same, but if there are 20 people there, they will react differently to that situation. Now, why does that happen? That happens only because each one has a different mindset, has been brought up differently, and maybe it has been part of their situation, I would say, or grooming, that their mind has grown differently, and therefore their reactions also differ. So this is what mental stress is. Like people who get stressed out, we agree that in today's time there is a lot of I mean, a lot of issues which are creating a heavy impact on our mind. Like if you see right from childhood, the home environment, since we've got single unit families, the child feels lost, the child feels, I would focus my conversation more on children, since we are dealing with, I believe that, we are more uh, with the children and we are more concerned about them. And those are the issues that come to us more in a day-to-day time. So what is their family background? What is their family situation? We see that children who are not coming from very, comfortable background, in the sense like if the environment is not very conducive, they are under stress. Or there are a lot of expectations from parents. This also we hear of so often, that parents are trying to put in their ambition or fulfill their ambition through the children. So a lot of pressure comes on the child. Then there are, pressures to meet in school, where there are targets to meet, there are tasks to be done in a given time. And there could be 101 situation where the child is not able to, whether the child's IQ level is low, whether the child has constraint of time, maybe there are certain situations at home which are not very conducive. So all that leads to stress in the child, and of course a lot to do after a certain age with the peer pressure. When they see their friends who are, more relaxed, or maybe they are doing well, or maybe they have certain things which they don't have, in terms of even materialistic wealth, all these things after a certain age, they start leaving an impact. Sometimes, like very often we notice, that certain children may have a certain kind of disability. I won't say really in the major sense, but even in normal schools, we come across children who may be a little awkward in their presentation. They are not as finely groomed as maybe the other children, or they may have a little speech defect, they stammer. And all these children, then that kind of stress starts working on them, especially more when they are growing up and they see that everybody else is growing up differently, and we are a little different, or a little constraint is there, the inability is there, and they start feeling a kind of, a low self-esteem. Or if they are not performing very well and constantly they're being rebuked at home as well as in school by teachers, then also they start taking that as, a negativity around, where they start going down in their self-esteem and all these pressures. And there are 101 pressures, I think, in today's time, which at every stage every individual is going through. So all that leads to a lot of stress on the mind of the individual. But then again, how to handle that stress depends from individual to individual. If they have a good support system, maybe at home, maybe in school, if they have very good friends who are helping them out of a situation, then there have been, we do come across and we see that even without having to go to a counselor, there are children who are able to outcome and grow out of that situation and are able to handle the stress that is there. Because of course we do see a lot of expectation from all corners is there for a child. Even it's the same for adults in a workplace. There is a lot of work pressure, there are a lot of targets to meet, there are a lot of competitions maybe with the colleagues that one faces, and that also leads to a lot of stress. There could be financial issues, there could be a lot of other demands, there could be some kind of humiliation maybe that the person has gone through, and that leads to a kind of, again, a lowest self-esteem and the stress that develops. So there are lots of reasons because of which the person goes through mental stress. But then how do we come out of that stress? It is not that every person succumbs to it, it is not that every person gives in to a situation. Each one handles it differently depending upon the mental health of the person. So I hope people understand that there is a lot of importance to be given to mental health as well. It is not only a healthy body, but also a healthy mind, which we work towards cautiously. We bring it to a situation where we try to understand every situation with a calm mind, and also learn to accept failures in life. Now, this becomes also very important for children, where we see that they are not being taught how to accept failures, and not even being taught, probably even parents are not ready to accept some kind of failure of the child in life, because as I said, a lot of pressure is there on children, trying to fulfill their parents' expectations or their ambitions, which are being fulfilled through the children. So when they are not able to meet that, it is the dejection which the child feels, and therefore leads to a lot of stress. But then if they have this kind of support system where they say, okay, This is not the end of the world. If there has been a crack, that doesn't mean the building is going to fall. We have to again rebuild, we have to collect ourselves, and we have to start with a fresh mind and a fresh start and a fresh spirit, where we are able to overcome all those obstacles and obstructions that may have stopped us from achieving what we wanted to achieve. Also,
So,
sorry, yeah, you're saying
yeah.
something?
Yes, ma'am. So, my next question is, what causes the mental health disorder?
As I said, I mean, all these issues which are taken, which are a little demanding on the child's mind, or maybe any individual's mind. Why do we have, cases going up to as extreme as committing suicide or taking some very criminal action? Because when the person is under stress, he or she did not probably find some kind of support around, or at the initial stages. See, we are all the time talking about having counselors. Now, it is not important that we all the time have counselors at home, counselors in school, everywhere around. But then we, each one, who, like we as parents, we as teachers, have to understand that there could be several reasons for one reaction. We should try to, get to the root. When we don't listen, for example, there is a child who's coming up with an excuse. A very simple small example I'm giving you, that he comes in late and he says, okay, this was the reason. Once it happens, twice it, and we kind of label the child and we say, no, this is not right, there is something more to it. Now, there'll be some teachers who will try to go down to the root of it. They'll try to find out, why is this child behaving in a particular manner? Sometimes you see a lot of aggression in children, and we say, okay, this child is labeled as the most indisciplined child. But why is he doing that? When we get down to that root, maybe there are certain issues at home. Maybe there are, there's certain the group of children who are making fun of him or her. Maybe there is somebody on the way he meets or she meets, where, that something wrong is happening in life, which he or she is not able to share. So we have to understand, and we have to start maybe getting down to the root. If we don't do that at the right time, that is where, a little dejection comes in, gradually depression, and gradually it leads to a lot of mental stress, which may ultimately lead to a lot of mental disorder as well. So being able to, understand the situation right at the moment, that this child seems to be, or this individual seems to be under some kind of stress. If he or she is sharing with somebody, we need to, people around, get together, find out the root cause of it, and start working and motivating the child, lifting his spirits up, so that he doesn't take some drastic step, or that initial mental stress doesn't get converted into heavy mental disorder. So these are things that, I mean, issues are innumerable in today's time. We have been in times when the pressure wasn't as much, but we know that now, be it a small child, be it an adolescent, be it even grown-up people, they are facing such innumerable pressures from all corners, that if we are not cautiously working to make that person, if we don't have support from all corners, and if the person has not been, each individual has not been able to work cautiously on the mental health, then these kind of stress related disorders will happen, and are happening more frequently as we ever heard of earlier. I mean, this is part of development, we would say, that if scientifically, and if in terms of development, we are moving in a very fast, uh, at a very fast pace, then obviously with all the advantages, there are a lot of disadvantages that will also come in, and we will have to take it in our stride, and we have to find out the reason why it is there, and we have to also look for solutions. How are we going to, rectify all of that, and how will we help out people around, for which a little bit of concern and empathy and consideration has to come in from all corners, that if we find somebody who is not as strong as we are, we need to help that person out and see that person out through all tough times, and all the stress that one is facing.
So, ma'am, as you said that about the depression, right? So, is depression same as a mental disorder?
No, I won't say that, because depression is something. See, mental disorder could be from outer sources, and it could be genetic as well. There are a lot of cases where, because it's been there in certain generations, so hereditary, the person is suffering from some kind of mental disorder. But when we talk about mental stress or depression, it is not really that. But yes, when things don't work out according to what we have been wanting it to be, some people are able to take it in their stride that, okay, life is not going to be same always, and there would be certain ups and downs, and we will have to, I mean, of course, there is a little emotional disturbance and breakdown with all of us at some point of time. But then with some, the impact is so heavy that that person is not able to come out of that. That leads to depression. Maybe I have a target to meet. Maybe I have to achieve a certain percentage and I have not been able to do that. And the child starts feeling low about himself or herself. And that is when they start moving into depression, and they will start withdrawing from people, and they would not like to do anything. So that is a very minor symptom. If worked at the right time, through some medication, through some meditation, very importantly, we can draw out the person from depression. But if it is a mental disorder, which is an extreme case, even mental stress, if not worked upon, can lead to that. And depression, if not worked upon, can lead to that as well. And as I said, it is genetic. Also, in many cases, that is a very extreme case where the person starts behaving very differently, either gets very violent or gets very, the reactions are very, very severe. So that is one of those extreme cases where then one has to go through a proper, maybe even go to the asylum, or maybe go through psychiatrists where they have to be treated mentally.
Okay, ma'am. So how do we handle this emotional and mental stress?
See, the first thing is that we should be able to analyze our problem. The first thing is, and I mean, I'm sure, being from the kind of background and institution you are from, and similarly with us, we are an ashram school, we lay a lot of stress on meditation, on breathing exercises, on relaxing our nerves. So that is something which, when you are into that kind of practice from very early stage, our certain mantras have a great impact on our mind, which kind of, soothes our mind a lot. So we will, as I said, very cautiously, we'll have to work upon making our mind strong, making our mind serene, being able to accept a lot of things without panicking, without reacting severely, without, throwing a fit at everything, or maybe being affected in a very deeper way. So we'll have to work on lots of things, because we have to first start seeing the behavioral changes that come with it. If we notice these kind of things in a person, that means the person is under some kind of stress, and we need to work on that. So to work on that is, one, to have some kind of confidant where the person can confide in and come out with the truth. And it is not necessary, again, as I said, that always it's going to be a counselor. It could be some teacher, it could be an elder brother, sister, mother, whoever the child is close to, and who understands that there is some kind of problem happening here, or withdrawal happening here. Like in these cases, normally when we see the child is under some kind of depression or stress, they start moving away from the society. So when you see that kind of withdrawal, to try to reach out, to get to his or her heart, try to draw out the root cause of whatever withdrawal is, and then try to boost his morale by making the person come out with whatever is there, and helping him or her to grow and accept and move on. So it is very, very important, as I said, that we have to put them right from the beginning through some kind of spiritual training. All of us who have had that kind of training, I think we understand this, that unless and until you are not in communication with God, with your higher self, even it could be your own soul, your conscience, then you are constantly, introspecting, you are analyzing, and you start understanding, why am I reacting to a situation like this? What is the outcome that I'm, portraying and projecting? And how is it having an impact on myself? And how is it impacting the people around? So that kind of training, we have always very strongly believed in that, even at home and as well as in school, that should become mandatory, where I'm not saying to propagate a particular religion, but I'm saying where the person should understand there is some kind of supreme power. We have been created by that power, and we need to kind of work on, we need to kind of, have some kind of relation there. Because I think we as adults always understand that people who have been close to the creator, or have been in communication, or have had some kind of a spiritual base, we are always able to take larger dejections in life more easily than those who do not have that support. I mean, either you have that support in somebody who is live around you, be it parent, be it brother, sister, as I said, be it friend, be it somebody around, some colleague, some mentor. But if we don't have that, then we have to have that, recognition of ourself, that we've been sent for a higher purpose. We are not to get disturbed by these smaller things. And we have to be able to take all these things in a stride when we say that we are here in this life for a short duration. We have to do our bit, we have to contribute, and we have to move on. See, when we start expecting too much, like in today's time, why do we see a lot of stress? Because right from childhood, the parents have very little time, because in most cases both parents are working, and therefore there is this overindulgence that whatever the child is wanting, we are giving it to the child, because we don't have time, but we have everything else in life. So a child grows up understanding that anything that I want has to come to me. In many cases, as teachers, we see that a child is not able to take no for an answer from a very early age, because so much has been given to the child without even having to be asked for. I mean, without having to ask for it, so much has come to the child, that probably the child understands that life is a bed of roses, and no adversity is ever going to affect him or her. And later, as they grow up, and these kind of challenges they start facing, then they have not been groomed that way. Like, let's go to, even if we talk about our physical self, we were in that habit of, we never had ACs, maybe earlier. We did not have TV, we did not have these gadgets, but were we not very happy with ourselves? We knew how to make use of our free time. We were happier with friends, we were having more of outdoor life, playing all kinds of games, and we were satisfied. But these days, with everything that the children are getting, they are still not happy. And in most cases, I've seen, even if half an hour you give them without any gadget, they don't know what to do with themselves. So a lot, as I said right in the beginning, goes to the modernization that has happened. So there is so much coming to them all the time, that they are not able to understand that there are going to be certain adversities in life which they will have to face. And so they have not really been prepared for it. I have seen in so many cases, there are parents who are suffering from major severe, major financial crunch, but those things are never shared with the child. Even if the children are, let's say, in their teenage, but somehow they try to protect that child so much that the child should not understand that they are facing so much of crisis. Or even if there are other issues, the child should not be, I mean, why not? Let the child understand that all these things are part of life, and this is how I need to handle these situations, and this is how I need to move on in life. So a lot of complications come in because of that also, that we have not been able to train properly. So it is a lot about, and also, like, see, we understand when we talk about emotional stress. As I said, parents don't have time, we have single unit families, so a lot of children are facing a lot of emotional stress also, which is becoming so important. Like, terms like emotional quotient and emotional intelligence we had never heard of earlier, because it was all a composite part. Physical, mental, emotional was all one part, which we never segregated and saw that and gave importance to. Why is all that becoming so important in today's time? Because we are seeing that all these things are having a major impact on the person also, and even the people who are around him, with whom he or she may be dealing, be it parents, be it peer group, their relationship with people. That becomes very important. So how are they relating to people, be it their elders, their people who are younger to them, people who are in their, as they grow up in their workplace, how are they with their colleagues, with their bosses? All that depends on what kind of emotional and mental health have they been given in the early grooming, of the years. What kind of environment has been given to them at home? Whether they have grown up into healthy, mentally healthy individuals or not. A lot of stress always goes on physical health. Eat this, don't eat this, your regular exercise. All that also, of course, leads to a strong mind as well. Also, when we've seen people, suffering from a major ailment and maybe they're bedridden for a long time, they start moving into that kind of depression and dejection, that they are pretty useless and why are they living. And with most people this is how it happens, but aren't we aware of so many such cases when we talk about where people have suffered from major issues, even losing their limbs, or maybe being, going through several surgeries and having artificial limbs. There are so many people to talk about, who have risen up again, fought with all the challenges, and yet they've come out winners, not because of their physical health. All that happened because of their mental health. They were mentally so strong that they were not ready to give up to any situation. Like we talk about Sudha Chandranji, who lost her legs, and she was a very good dancer. We talk about Arunima Sena, who's from Lucknow, who was wanting to, climb the Everest, and she was thrown out of train and both her legs were. So there are 101 such cases we can talk about. So even children should be exposed to these kind of role models, that in case of crisis, of course, everybody breaks down at a point when it is something like that. But then we bounce back. And how do we bounce back? And what alternative can we look for in life where we can say that, okay, we have come up and come out of this situation as a winner again?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, what is this EQ? Why it's so relevant in today's time?
This is what I just talked about. The emotional intelligence that I talked about is actually, it's a very important term and frequently used term, especially in workplaces now, about emotional quotient, which is, earlier we would hear about IQ very often. So IQ was, for every test, every exam, we were checking on a person's intelligence level, and we were saying, okay, this person is very good for this particular course, or this person is good for this work. And that is how, when we were inducting people even for various jobs, we were checking on the person's IQ level and maybe certain skills that were required for that particular job, and we said, okay, this person is very good. But then a lot of realization came into, especially these companies and all that. They realized that there is another component, which is EQ, which is the emotional quotient. You can give any post to a person, but emotionally, if that person is not strong, emotional quotient is the ability to relate to people, to be able to see yourself also into many situations, to be able to analyze your reactions to many situations, any given situation, and why do you react like that? Or sometimes it happens that if you are at a position and you find that somebody has said something against you, the boss would react. But then there are also, when we are approached with criticism, sometimes not everybody is able to take it as healthy criticism. But if you are emotionally strong, you would try to understand, okay, this came up, why would that person have said this? Maybe there was some there's some flaw or something lacking in me, which probably is not reaching out well. So it becomes your ability to react, ability to interact with people, the ability to be in a relationship of any kind. That could be relationship with friends, relationship with parents, relationship within a in a community, relationship in your workplace. So when you are able to, in a very congenial way, interact with everyone, be it somebody who is lower than you maybe in your workplace and somebody who is higher than you, you know how exactly one has to behave in a given situation and with given people, then that is supposedly known as the person's emotional quotient. the EQ that we talked about. And if you are able to handle situation in a workplace, you have all your targets to meet. You have certain moments where you don't get along very well with a colleague, but you have to work with that colleague. For example, let's take a game. Now, when we have team games, every team member has to contribute equally, and each member has his or her position, which is of equal importance. Any member begins to think that I am controlling the whole situation is obviously not right. And when such a situation comes in, that's where we realize that a team game is lost. So it is that relationship where somebody, if he or she is a captain of the team, says, well, I know what my role is over here, but at the same time I have to give equal importance to everybody, and maybe take their advice as well into playing a game. Same way, like if we are working in an institution, an organization, if the boss says, okay, I'm doing everything and I know how it is to be done, nobody else should give their suggestion, then obviously it doesn't work out. But if we work as a team and we understand that every member, like if we are working in a school or in an office, we know even the subordinate staff is contributing in some way. So we begin to give them their due respect, and we begin to take that way you are able to get that team spirit also, you are able to get their support also, and you are able to move in a better manner. So these are things which show that how emotionally you are strong. Also, sometimes, in given situation where uh, in situations where your emotions are being tried out. Now, it could be as small as a breakup, maybe for a young boy and girl, where they just given and they kind of finish their life. It could be even, a loss of life. It could be a divorce in the case of a man or a woman. How do they handle that situation? There are some people we come across, since we deal with parents also, where they are staying in a family and suddenly the husband gets transferred to a place. And the wife feels that, the world is gone. I don't know how to handle my children. I don't know how to handle in and out of the house. I don't know how to, run to pay my electricity bill or run to do this or any errands, because they are all the time so dependent that even that little situation becomes a situation of panic for them. Whereas there are other people who would go through some major, crisis in life, and yet they will say that, okay, this can be handled. Maybe losing some near and dear one. Maybe, we do come across where parents and teachers lose either their husband or their wife, and they're still pulling along and they're managing. There are children grown up, in the adolescent age, which is a very difficult age, but they learn to accept and they move on. So again, that is where our emotional strength comes in, where we know that since it is life, we will be having certain major losses in life. But how do we again collect our self and our emotions, and how do we move ahead? Then if we are, emotionally strong, we will not indulge in any such thing, which will be a very drastic step, which we hear and see of so often now.
Okay. So, ma'am, is there any difference between this emotional health and mental health?
Well, there is a lot of difference, because mental health, like you are being very clear in your perspectives, which of course then leads to your emotional reactions to a certain thing. If you are mentally strong, you are able to control your emotions. It is more of that. Like if you have a major mental strength, then you are able to control your emotions. As I said, there could be major, drawback in life and losses in life that we come across. Like again, if I talk about the COVID period, there were people who lost their complete, business shut down, and they were broke. And yet gradually they started looking out for something else. Some completely succumbed to that. We came across many such cases. I don't know whether you all witnessed it or not, where psychologically the person may not have actually, been hit by the pandemic, but psychologically they were so scared that it's going to come to them, and a lot of physical issues happened because mentally they were not strong. So their emotions and their reactions were weak because their mind wasn't strong. So they are, I won't say they are same, but they do impact each other. In fact, emotional health gets impacted by mental health. If we are mentally strong, we are able to handle our emotions. If we are not mentally strong, we are not able to handle our emotions, and our reactions become very, very severe in that case.
Okay, ma'am. So how do we know that we are suffering with this emotional disorder, and how do we keep checking on it?
Well, as I said even earlier, that when you start seeing these kind of symptoms in person, the first thing comes in as withdrawal, that the person starts moving away. That means there is some kind of stress that that person is carrying, which he or she is not being able to share with others, but there is something that the person is carrying, and therefore it is actually shying away from people, because it is that inner guilt feeling or the inner low feeling which makes them understand that maybe the whole world knows about them. That is one thing. Secondly, people who are suffering with some kind of mental disorder or mental stress, I won't say disorder, mental stress, they would be reacting very differently. Like they'll be very agitated, the anxiety level will be very high in them, or their sleep habits will change. Either they'll be sleeping too much and feeling lethargic all the time, or there'll be a lot of sleeplessness. There'll be insomnia where they're lying down in bed but they're not being able to sleep. And also that their eating habits will be very irregular. Either they wouldn't like to eat the whole day, or they will start overeating. So it's that reaction is different with different people. Some of them just eat and eat and eat, and that's the way they try to come out of that depression, or that low feeling. Or some of them so just get into that lethargy, that I'm lying down the whole day and I don't feel like getting up, and I don't have energy level, and therefore I'm not well. They will keep telling themselves that maybe I'm not well, so I'm not able to do anything. And these kind of things will start coming in. Now, to overcome that, as I said initially, it is very important that the minute, and for which the person also has to have a very strong willpower. Like, all of us could be helping out one person, but if that person doesn't want to come out of that situation, we cannot help that person. So a strong willpower is very important, that desire to come back, that desire to bounce back, because I'm sure nobody likes that low feeling. Nobody likes to be feel that feeling of dejection which is there. Nobody feels happy about it. So you will find that the person is irritable, the person is not enjoying whenever there is a group of people sitting there laughing, joking. So they get this feeling that no, I'm not enjoying all of this, and they'll move away. So all these behavioral changes, when they start coming in, and irritable and anxiety is also a very important factor, that they will throw a fit in at the smallest of things. They start getting angry at people, they start maybe even getting abusive, because they're suffering with some kind of stress. So if all these things are taken care of, sometimes people just move away, that okay, leave this person alone. That maybe he's not very congenial a person to be spending time with, and a very negative person to be spending time. Now, when we do things like this, that person's negativity increases even more, and as a result, again, that dejection level keeps getting more and more, till it leads to some kind of mental disorder, or so much of mental stress that the person might take some kind of very, very drastic step. But if we start supporting that person and coming forward and encouraging and motivating and trying to bring that person back, and of course then there, of course, a counselor also has to step in, as where they have to take the person through several tests, and the psychometric tests, and we kind of try to bring them out of the situation. There are, of course, all hopes that the person will improve. Maybe sometimes they even have to be given some kind of medication for it. But most importantly, as I said, if right from the beginning we get them into the habit of meditation, we get them into the habit of proper breathing, we get them into, even sometimes Bhagavad Gita discourse that helps a lot to kind of give them that inner strength and courage, where they begin to see the reality of life, and right from the beginning, that spiritual connect, if it is there, which the sanskars that we had earlier, we used to talk about, we try to give that in school as well as at home. The child grows with a more positive outlook towards life, and then accepting a lot of these issues are not so difficult. We have to get them into healthy eating habits also. See, a lot of disorders are also coming in now because of spending very, very long hours over mobile. We come across cases, sorry, we come across cases where, they are on the mobile playing certain games which are having a very, very negative impact on their mind. And gradually that leads to a lot of mental disturbance as well. So these are things which have to be controlled, and at the home front, very, very severely. And they have to also find alternative for that. It's just like snatching away a mobile is not enough, because we've introduced it in their life, but we have to provide alternatives for that. Like during the lockdown period, I was often telling my children that let's get back to, now this is one of those rare family time which you were getting. Most of the time in single unit families, what do we see? Parents are running out, children are running out, everybody is, that lack of time is there, where probably even for one meal the entire family sitting down is such a rare thing to happen. So that is how we would, try to motivate our children, that okay, off and on I would talk to them through a video call only, and I would tell them that this is your time with your family which you were not getting for years, and which also led to a lot of conflict initially, because people were not used to staying together for for so many days at a stretch, for so many hours at a stretch, and they were not allowed to go out. So there was no other option but to stay at home and but to be with each other. So gradually then they realized, because I spoke to a lot of children and they said that, ma'am, we had our grandparents coming in, and initially we didn't like their intrusion into the house. But gradually they realize that grandparents can be so much of fun, and they can be so much of affection, that they get from them, and so many stories they have, which we have been fortunate to, have all of that. But children these days in their single unit family, they don't get that opportunity. So now, like I actually had a lot of children talking about it, that when they went to some relative's house, or some relatives came over, or grandparents came over, they started enjoying that, or they were spending time with, their parents. So I said, now leave the mobile and get down to maybe playing ludo and business and carom, which are games kind of forgotten now from home. So all that, many of them started actually doing those things, and they started enjoying. I said, maybe there are certain hobbies which you could not take up, maybe which your parents could not take up. And a lot of ladies got into, those who were fond of cooking, cooking variety of dishes, and children were also getting involved in that. Some took to gardening, and the children got interested in that. And they also realized, even there were, mothers who took to dancing and all. So children realized that kind of talent also which the mothers had. And that, I think, contributed a lot to see them through in those trying, tough times.
Kalpana ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I mean, I could not hear anything from the other end.
Hello ma'am, now it's audible.
Yeah, so now it's clear.
So ma'am, is there any age for controlling this emotional and mental health?
Sorry, could you repeat your question, please?
Yes, ma'am. Is there any like any age for take care of our emotions and mental health?
Yeah, we have to actually, be careful about what are those situations. As initially also I said, our eating habits, our sleeping habits, all add to that. When we had been hearing this, as I said right in the beginning, that a healthy mind and a healthy body. So first thing that we need to take care of our physical health, which again is getting affected because a lot of junk food that has come into our life, our different, lifestyle, where eating habits have really gone for a sixer completely, I would say, because there are no fixed in time for which they have fixed time for meals and all. And plus everybody is going in the easy way, where they would like to go out with the family and maybe, eat out, and therefore not very healthy food going. But first of all, right from the beginning, I think the parents have to, here I would say the mothers play a very important role, that they have to introduce right eating habits, rich diet, which will, if the body is physically strong, if the person is physically strong, automatically the mind also would be well fed. Secondly, when we talk about mind, the way we need rich diet for the body, we also need rich diet for the mind, which means positive thoughts. The child should be exposed to a lot of positivity around, positive thoughts around, maybe some to start the day with some kind of chanting, to some kind of, mantras, which would, or depending on whatever be the religion, but some kind of spiritual music and spiritual, you know, uh, bhajans and all would always help to start the day. Secondly, we have to avoid all those situations which kind of aggravate. Like we say, there are people who are so negative that when you are around them, you start feeling very low about yourself. Like, for example, bullying, when we talk about in school, sometimes some children are targeted and they are bullied from all corners. So as a result, what happens is that child starts feeling dejected. So maybe, avoiding those people. Even as adults, we face that. Sometimes you are meeting people, who are uh, not very positive about you, and they try to make you feel low, they try to demean you in some way or the other, and the person, and then we come back feeling a little dejected. So we should avoid these kind of things. Second thing is acceptance. See, when you start understanding that life, as I said, is not going to be a bed of roses, there will be ups and downs, you start accepting situation. Now supposing you are going to a workplace and you know that thing is not going to change, and how do you know that when you jump out of that workplace and join a new one, you will not be confronted with some kind of adverse situation? So it is better to start accepting that there are people who are going to be different, and I have to learn to adjust to them, because I have to be in the society, and I will avoid those things which are going to instigate me, which are going to bring in some, uh, such reactions which are not the undesired reactions, and I'm going to try to accept more of it. Then trying to adapt yourself, as I said, in certain situations. When you know that the situation is not going to change, then you start changing yourself and changing your adaptability to it. And sometimes what happens is that we get confronted with some kind of uh, negative episode in life. We should not try to, or maybe it is, something which we are guilty about, some kind of wrong deed an individual has done. We should not live into that negativity all the time. We should not relive that moment all the time. Something wrong has happened with any of us at any point of time. If we keep brooding over it, if we keep thinking over it again and again and again, it is just going to get aggravated, and it will never leave us into a situation where we can come out of it. So we should start, pushing all those things aside which are not making us feel happy, which are bringing in some kind of unpleasantness in us, be it people, be it situation. We should not try to step over them again and again. We should just move away from them, even if it is, certain memories which are not very pleasant, unpleasant memories. Why should we live in those moments again and bring those unpleasant memories back to us again and again? We should just erase them out of our system, so that we can accept the better things around and move ahead. A lot of it, nature has a very important role to play. Like whenever we find that we are stressed out, I think all of us must have experienced this, that if you move close to nature, like if you get up early in the morning, go for long morning walks amidst nature, you will find automatically your spirits will get lightened, and they will start, you would start feeling better, the chirping of birds. So this is another thing which I keep, telling the parents in school, that you must keep your child close to nature most of the time. Don't try to visit places like metro cities, but whenever you get holiday, whenever you get family time, you must visit those places which are close to nature. Also, having, a pet at home, or having that kind of compassion for any living being, that also helps a lot, because then what happens is that the child begins to understand the feeling of others. See, empathy and sensitivity, we say, are very, very important for human beings. What is happening is that all of us are becoming very self-centered now. If we, and it's very often that we ignore the feelings of others, and that is why so much of emotional stress is happening, because we are not understanding. Even at home, there are so many times, like children, when they are growing up, they are reacting on their parents, not realizing how much it is hurting their parents. I have so many times, mothers who would come and cry that the child is misbehaving at home, and those children could be in grade 6 or 7 or 8, I mean, as young as that, and they are not, they're losing respect for their parents, and they're turning back and they're reacting. So these are things, they are somehow, that finer sensitivity is losing out on people. So it is very important that we kind of sensitize them to the feelings of others, and that is possible when right from childhood you teach the child how to respect the feeling of others, how to, any living being, even if, breaking a leaf or a flower, that should also pain. Why is it not hurting the children? Because right from the beginning, if we start telling them that you are breaking this flower also has life, it is getting hurt. So, these things will start sensitizing the child that, okay, anything that we are destroying, we are hurting the emotions or feelings of that living being. How important is it for us? So when the children grow up with that in mind, definitely they will, start understanding others' feelings. And when they will become compassionate, they will always respect the feelings of others, and it will definitely become a happier place for each one. When we start understanding the feelings of each other, there are children, who are given pets, maybe a small puppy as a toy. Now, parents have to teach them that it's not a non-living thing, it's a living thing. And I have seen them, literally drag by the neck or pull by the ear, and or maybe just throw around. So we are not, we are making them insensitive to the pain and suffering of another living being. When these things are introduced, automatically the person will grow up into a better person, a finer person, will be ready to help out later. Like, as again, I go back to the COVID times, there were many who were panicking. And in this whole situation, I know of many people who are actually moving out and helping others, and moving into that without, taking care about themselves. Of course, they were taking care, but without being concerned about themselves, they were actually moving out and helping these people. So that is true compassion, that is true strong emotional health, I would say, where they were not only thinking about themselves, but they realized the pain and suffering of every living being. So I suppose, I think I've
Thank
been able to make myself clear on all the points that came to my mind.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us, ma'am.
Thank
So we
you
are
so
really
much for
grateful.
allowing me
Yeah.
and giving me a platform to be able to talk to
Yes.
people, because we are facing so many situations day to day. But
Yes, ma'am.
definitely, I mean, we also feel happy sharing, because if it helps even two people, well,
Yes, ma'am.
we can have it.
This is really an important topic for all of us for getting know about each of the stress we are facing today. So, ma'am, thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you on next episode. Till then, it's me, Parvati.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
inviting.